podcast. I've got my boy Craig here. Again, I'm Jonathan. Today we're going to be talking reviews from what it seems like, reviews and debuts. So to start us off, I know you said previously, before we got this thing started, you got some stuff to talk about. So why don't you throw us in here, Craig? Get us started.
Yeah, I mean, we just gonna really get ready for the season. Testing starts this weekend, so I guess that's
baby.
I guess that's the go time for us. We'll give off another review for that as well, or it's like test and review, and then when it kicks off in Bahrain, that's when we'll kind of come at you guys with a lot more, on cue, I guess, top tier,
Yep.
reviews and stuff like that.
Bahrain is also always freaks me out. Ever since that Grosjean crash, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, I don't even remember. It's been so long. It's just with the start of the season, I'm oh. And now with everybody, debuting all these new cars and stuff, I'm okay, where is everybody gonna go? You got new cars, new drivers, all sorts of stuff is happening.
Right.
So it's wild.
We kicking off with the liveries, or basically, the cars that they kind of showed. Yeah. We know we'll get some more detailed, cars this weekend once they actually come out for testing this weekend. So what we're basically going to go off of is what we have and what the internet have. Mm-hmm. So starting with Haas, everybody's kind of getting on the carbon fiber and the black, but I actually kind of like the black. I do get the argument that people, do want what is it? Let me move this straight ahead. So I'm not
it's interesting. From what I've read with the past articles with debuting and whatnot, now they're without Gunther and outside of liveries and stuff. It's from what it seems, they don't really have a lot of hope. So at least from the team's perspective. So, but it's interesting, they've got Ferrari parts. So, does that mean with then potentially new principle with liveries and performance and whatnot, a better season? So there's a lot of that's in question with Haas.
Yeah, I think,
what it looks like.
I think I picked it up last episode when I was talking about when a new team principal comes in. You kind of got to give them that first half of the season to kind of establish themselves. So I guess Haas will probably come out as usual, slow, behind everyone. But I guess we'll have to see either right before what is it, half season.
Yeah,
summer break.
Break.
Summer break, and then either we'll see something before or right after that. So I guess for Haas, I guess right now everything is just let's establish a new base for the team and then elevate and move forward.
Start small, because I think with this new season potentially, having a better principle, I think they're in the developing and pretty much I won't say new team, but with that, some things aren't the same. I think it's a great opportunity for them to have a lot of advancement, up the lag. So you got to start small. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, my only concern for Haas would be, since it is someone who's been with them the whole, regime, how much of, would people feel offended if he just completely flipped what Gunther's been doing all these years? Because, when somebody kind of takes over, that kind of looks off as how long did you have this kind of planned, or you know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking from what the team would feel, just if anything's off within the team. But personally speaking, like I said, let's give them the first half. Let's see what they say about upgrades and all these things. Mm-hmm. Oh, one more thing too. I'm glad you did say, because I was did I tell him I had something to say? But no, I miss having Spain, Barcelona as a testing site.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Has not been on my radar. I forgot that you mentioned that.
Because I was playing F1 22, and I was why did they take this away? Because my favorite thing about, or something that also made Barcelona such a spectacle when we did go there, not only is the track it's a good track, but since people preseason tested there, and they have data from the preseason testing, when they did come to Barcelona during the season, they will always bring upgrades because they already had data to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they tracked everybody.
Yeah, so that's kind of. Right. I mean, teams still do it from the past couple of years, except for Mercedes, because.
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary,
right? As we saw what Ferrari did, they brought in they brought in some developments, but that's because at that point in time they probably driven it 2 times or two or three times.
Their new debut, I am stoked.
Yeah,
dog. Sebastian Vettel said, I don't know if you've seen that little Instagram reel from like a 2010 or 13 races, like no matter what, you're a Ferrari fan.
Yeah.
Seeing that new debut and them, next season having Lewis, it's like they potentially might win the constructors. I'm not calling it, but seeing what their advancements and developments have been for the SF24.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I really can't wait.
It's gonna be freaking awesome.
Yeah, like I'm just trying to stick with Lewis and Mercedes this year. So next year when I hop on the Tifosi or the Fiosi train.
It's interesting though. Now with the new car, they're out of a driver, so they've got they lost. I would say their top guy, but pretty much it's a Bottas situation.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to get too far off track, no pun intended. But a new car and not having one of your key drivers, who knows what direction that can go. Right?
And that goes back to Lewis. This being a smart decision for Lewis because you got to think Ferrari next year will have developments not only from the Matteo Binotto era, but also the Fred Vasseur era, which we've seen in one season he made dramatic changes. So you got that. So so you'll have basically 4 years with the car. 22, 23, 24. And then 25, you'll have on fourth year where Mercedes will be on year 2. So like I said, that was such a good decision for him because it's just like you kind of left him hanging, especially after the way Abu Dhabi was. So so back to these cars that got off track a little bit. Sauber,
dude. As soon as I saw the news on the F1 app and Instagram, all over social, I'm like, dude, let's freaking go. Because apparently, from what people are saying, like their team is saying, it's brand new from front to back. It's not just the same components like with higher cars and higher teams. Keeping the same car with a different livery. It's a completely brand new vehicle, which I think it's gonna slaughter.
I like that because that means they took. I don't mean to cut you off, but
no.
Because you remember they have the technical director from McLaren, so they basically took last year. Was like, all right, we'll just take all the money we have this year, probably make some upgrades, some developments, but we'll just focus on putting all that money. What I'm assuming, what you're telling me is into this car.
Yeah. Now I saw something that said like they have this thing, and I didn't really do a ton of research, but it's like a pull rod push rod combo matches the design approach by both McLaren and Red Bull from last year.
The suspension technique or the suspension philosophy. So I mean we could also talk about that as well because as we go up, because I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it's not Red Bull. Yeah, but let's jump to Williams right now. And then I'll go to the team before. But I think they said Williams and Aston Martin. Well, basically most of the Mercedes sponsored cars, they all went with the Red Bull rear suspension of the push rod. The push rod. So that's why I'm like, this year Mercedes could have been good because we got to think the last couple of years they've been doing what they've been doing with the wrong concept. So we might see something this year, but at the same time,
I have no doubt.
Yeah,
something about that.
Yeah, but we'll have to see because Adrian Newey did say the rear suspension was key for this year's or this era of cars. So now that
you don't realize how much suspension is important until all these dudes start having new designs with like other cars, and it's like okay, like wow, all right, people are starting to realize and say okay, we need to start doing new stuff with our suspension.
I think last year that's why. I think the reason why they made the decision this year was because of last year. That's probably what. Aston Martin was like saying at the beginning, and what McLaren's probably saying, like, that suspension change does matter. But I'm at the point where I'm starting to believe that a lot of Mercedes woes came from the previous technical director, and I don't want to throw him under the bus. So, because this is like most of these changes, all these parts that Mercedes shares with the teams that do share with Mercedes, all these are from James Allison.
Yeah,
these changes are James Allison changes, and I think I said that in the last video. I didn't even think of the shared parts aspect of everything. You know what I'm saying? So just the fact that this is a James Allison change, okay, like that's a note we have to take
deep down. Mercedes like rules it, as they have that precedence, which I think is great. I think it's from Mercedes standpoint, nothing but advantage to at the same point, share your parts and components, but also, I think that provides a little bit of competition.
Yeah.
Or it might be because, all right, sharing this stuff with the other teams might just be a diversion tactic, and everybody could suck, right? So,
they even made the change. It makes sense.
Not saying that, but anything can happen. So
right.
I think next week with testing, we'll see how everything goes.
Right.
You said, I know Aston Martin came up. Apparently, when I'm looking at what is it, the AM24, they've got pretty much every single area of the car has been like refined, and so now it's like, okay, I hope. That being said, Alonso can crush it. So
that's what will be. I think that's what everyone's going to be looking at, because the rumor, since Lewis is leaving, Alonso is probably number one for the seat, unless they nurture the junior driver that they have. I forgot his name.
Oh man, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I wish.
Yeah. It sounds like it's Kimmy something. Kendry Andrade. I gotta look it up. It's Kimmy something. But so if they were thinking about just signing Alonso for 2025 and then 2026, bringing the kid in or keeping Alonso. But what they're kind of saying is, the kid will turn 18 this year. So what they'll probably do is just upgrade him this year, because Alonso said his decision will go 100% based off of how this AMR is. I like we're saying, we think Aston Martin could be good, but we already know what the unspoken problem is at Aston Martin, so we're just not going to even address it. So basically, it's just like, if he likes the car and he stays there, I have no issue with him staying.
100%.
Because I think if Aston Martin is successful in F1, I think the whole sport is successful, because that's their look, that James Bond, that's what everybody wanted from. That's why everybody wants them in there. They're a British named company, even though they get engines from Mercedes, but they want that presence, that Aston Martin British presence in it.
And if it's successful, why leave, right? Exactly. There's no advantage to making that decision. So, but then it's like, all right, if it is unsuccessful, will he stay? There's so much speculation, and I'm like, what's going to happen, right?
And I think the fact that he admitted that they just took the wrong direction developing last year means, like, as a team, everyone thought they were going in the right direction. I think that's why he said, let me wait and see, because I think they just thought something. I mean, looking at that, they just made the bad decision. I think that's kind of how Alonso has taken it. Because if you look at his previous comments or criticism of the teams, he comes at the team, he'll say it. But this seems like, dang, like we went the wrong way. Like that's how Alonso, like not just one part of the season where he was like, like 1 week he was mad or not. He's just like, we went the wrong way. Like he's been like that all last year since they made the change. I think it was Spain as well. They did make that change.
Yeah.
So so ever since then, he's just been like, we just went in the wrong direction. That's really been his answer. So to get back, all right. So now I do have one. All right, so it's the Visa Red Bull Cash App.
Oh gosh,
Raging Bulls.
I'm gonna get my tongue twisted with that every single time they show up. I swear.
I try to remember because it's V Carb. So Visa Cash App Racing Bulls.
Yeah,
it's V Carb. But I'm gonna just say this: it's basically a remodeled version or an updated version of Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
My thing was Porsche's trying to join F1. I think last year or the year before last.
Yep.
They could have literally did what they doing with this team that the RB team.
Yeah, I would agree.
They could have literally just did that and just had Porsche worry about the investing in development and everything, because what everyone's concerned about this year is that this car would basically be the RB19.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting. It's like, I think having pretty much a rebranded RB20 on the track, with the pretty much, like you said, RB, like the previous generation,
right?
And having such a good team. I mean, you have Tsunoda and Ricciardo, and
they're moving to Milton Keynes, right? Yep. They're about to have all 4 Red Bull drivers in Milton Keynes at the headquarters, which is, I'm not saying the drivers being together is a problem, but like that's the issue. Like they're moving everything to that site now.
Yeah.
and it's just like you're not supposed to share information.
No.
And people are like, oh, Haas does it with Ferrari, but no, Haas only has their I think engine or power unit team with the Ferrari, so they at least know what's going on with the engine. But I think parts and all of that's in the UK, and then they have some other stuff in North Carolina, as far as I know, which I probably think is like marketing and all of that.
Yeah,
but I think all their parts are made in Britain, and everything concerning the engine is developed, shared, and talked about with Ferrari and Maranello. So with this one, it's just like y'all really just bringing them in to be a B team by definition.
Pretty much.
And I was like, y'all could have just gave Porsche the naming rights.
I was about to say you could have had like a completely not necessarily the sky's a different title, but it would have had a little bit more variety to the grid because nobody likes seeing like Red Bull and then pretty much the same team. It's like we know, right?
Right. It's like we know exactly what it is.
Kind of cringy.
Yeah.
You know? No judgment, but I think Porsche, it would have been a lot more interesting to have them on the grid because I'm a Porsche guy,
right?
So just cause, and so to see that.
It just would have been aesthetically pleasing.
Exactly.
Like I would have bought Porsche gear just to buy it. Like I would have cared less if it was Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, whatever rebranded. I just would have bought it because it was Porsche.
Yeah, same here, my guy.
So like I was thinking about that. I was like, if y'all just basically, because even on top of that, on Porsche's side, they could have been like, well, since we're basically going to have our whatever people we need in Milton Keynes, we could create a headquarters for the new engine in 2026, do what Audi's doing with Sauber, basically. Yeah. But they chose not to do that.
Yeah. One thing we haven't talked about is McLaren, dude.
Oh, no, we was about to be on Alpine.
Bro, come on.
So, we already talked about Alpine. We already did Aston Martin. So, it'll be Alpine, which is, we could just say it's black and the same designs as last year.
It's interesting because I did a little bit of research with, what their new debut, and according to Matt Harmon, their technical director, it's kind of like a similar situation with Haas. Like they have a not so great engine, and so they could be like Haas this season, right?
Well, that's their fault because they're the only team that makes their engines. So
and I think at the end of the day, it just comes up to budget capping, right?
Yeah, but they cry about their engine not being powerful enough. But it's just like y'all make your own engines.
Yeah, it's like that. There's your answer.
Right? Like, our engines suck.
Oh, we might need to,
really
something like,
you don't say. Actually. Why do you think Red Bull's with Honda right now?
Exactly.
But as far as Alpine, we already know two good drivers in Esteban and Pierre. It's basically the same design as last year, just carbon fibered. Less blue.
Dude, Red Bull with the Zero Pod, which is reminiscent of Mercedes from what it's been like people have been saying. I'm interested to see how that's going to impact their performance, like just generally.
Yeah, so I'm going to just go ahead. Let's just go ahead and do McLaren because we're getting to those top 4 teams, McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari. And we already had 20 minutes, dog.
I got you.
So, let's just go. So
McLaren MCL 38, I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm reading articles and Zach Brown. I mean, everybody, it's going to be awesome. So I think with, keeping a little bit more consistency with what they did last season, with having this car, I think it's going to be a fantastic season for McLaren.
Yeah, I think
Norris is a great driver. Piastri's working his way up. And, with the new car on the grid, let's get it on.
Yeah, I already told you I think McLaren is going to be good because the car is going to be good. But my thing is, the only thing that could stop them or hold them back is the fact that Piastri, I told you, I think Oscar is going to come for Lando this year.
Agreed.
I think last year he was like, oh, I got a handle of it. I got the handle of the car. So I think depending on testing, because you got to think they started on the back foot last year.
Yep.
But with testing this year, they got a good car. So I don't think Piastri is going to come. I think Piastri is going to become the number 1 driver in McLaren this year. That's all I really have to say.
I think it's almost going to be like when Bottas was at Mercedes trying to gun for, the number 1 driver. I mean, it's not the competition with such a GOAT driver, but
I think it's more Lewis and Nico when they first paired up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
They're still young,
Yeah. What are they, 20, both like 26, 27.
Yeah, I think Lando's 25, 26, and then Oscar's 27, 28. So yeah, they're established grown men.
I think for McLaren, like I said, the developments that they've had, and Zach Brown's always, had positive things to say about it.
Right.
I don't doubt that it, have a lot of inconsistency. I think they're probably going to be in the top 10 for the majority of the season. I don't think they're going to fall off at all.
I mean,
for what it seems like.
No, you're good. I mean, as far as I'm saying, apart from Red Bull and Ferrari, it's looking like the other 6 slots will be Mercedes engines.
Yeah.
And then we might have, depending on how Williams comes out, they might leapfrog Alpine.
Yeah.
Off what you're telling me. So we might have only 4 cars in the top 12, if I'm doing my math correctly, that are Mercedes engines.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's just to go ahead and state that the aerodynamics really has been helping Red Bull, because I really want to see what the Mercedes is going to do this year since they changed the suspension. So moving on, because I don't really have much to say about McLaren. I don't really go against Zach Brown. I love what he's trying to do at McLaren and bring him back.
He can be a little bit hardlining when it comes to cracking down on other people's teams and cars and all that.
Right. It could be like
that's every principle.
Yeah, but to me, it's like when he does it, he tries to, hey, look at me. But
he has that persona.
Yeah, it's like, chill, bro. You're not like your team ain't even that good like that. But but he could be like that this year, though. I can say he could be like that this year. But I don't really have nothing bad to say about McLaren. Like, I just want to see what's going to happen with the drivers this year, because that car is top 6 every race.
Yeah.
Top 6 every race. They'll be, or I'll say top 8 because it's the 4 teams. But I'm trying to see where Mercedes is at. That's why I said top 6, because I already know Red Bull and Ferrari got their cars together. We got to see testing and how Mercedes is going to look, honestly. So going from McLaren, we'll go to the 3rd place team, Ferrari.
Dude, I'm freaking stoked. As I said earlier, I think it's a great opportunity for them to get a lot of advancement. I don't see anything going bad. Like, you're adding a key driver, but I think with this new car, they're going to make up for a lot of things that they, missed last year.
Right.
Nobody's perfect, but I think with the rebuilding from Fred Vasseur, they have more strategy. I think there's going to be a lot more consistency, especially with a new car, from what it sounds like.
I forgot what channel it was. It was probably The Race, because that's what I kind of go for most of my insider information, because those people are like, they're actual reporters who be at the race. Somebody they referenced that last year was all about better strategy and better pit stops, which they on the race they mentioned like they did improve on last year. So we'll see this year, as far, because I think if anything, Fred was worried about the framework of the team last year. And then this year, I mean, obviously they worked on the car, but I think this year will be more focused on the engine rather than the aerodynamics. Yeah, because that's what's kind of been hicking up for Ferrari is the engine sometimes. So I think this year might be an engine-focused season. Even I'm not saying they're not going to develop. Yeah, I'm not saying they're just not going to develop. But with Lewis coming in, they're going to make sure, because they know they'll get out of Lewis. Yeah, they'll know they can get everything out that engine. So I think they'll try to focus a little bit more on reliability. Basically, what I'm saying.
That makes sense.
See how far they can push that engine.
Yep, exactly. And I think having such a key driver next year, to have that already figured out, then to bring on the GOAT, it's like, all right, game on.
Right, like 2020, they could 2020. Yeah, I'm already stating 2025 as 2020 live. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm portraying it. I'm trying to. This is 2024 in goal, like 2020 goal, like get my goals, get everything right and straight. Next year we're gonna get live. So this year, like I said, this is about building the channel. This year is all about building the channel, getting the chemistry right. So next year
it's gonna be freaking solid. I'm excited.
Bro, this is only freaking livery reviews. I can't wait for Bahrain testing in the races.
Dude, because it's ultimately like, okay, you have your cars, you have your liveries, but driver performance. Is it the driver or is it the car?
Right. That's what I'm saying about McLaren. We already know it's going to be the car.
Mm-hmm.
which driver is going to make the most out of it.
Exactly.
That's why I said it'll be like I told you I've been rewatching like a lot of the last seasons.
Yep.
Nico Rosberg, or Rosberg. I don't really know how to say it correctly.
Yep.
But Nico, when you hear him say, "Man, the 1 year that I won, I sacrificed a lot of things like family and stuff like that," I'm starting to realize what he meant. Like, he's a family guy. Like, Lewis is a family guy, but like it's easy to compartmentalize a lot of stuff that he was saying. So I think that's what I'm saying is this year with Lando and Oscar, who's going to come off a little bit more focused? Because I think Lando, by experience and nature, he feels like he's the number one driver because he's been there for so long.
Yep. Do you think there's going to be a little bit of complacency with Lando because he already is like, all right, I know how to drive, I know how to win, I'm young.
I don't know. Well, it's not that different in age because I think they might be 1 or 2 years apart. So
yeah,
but experience is the difference. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I say it has this Lewis and Nico element to it because Nico was at Mercedes for 6 years, I think, before he won that one championship. He was there for 6 years.
Yep.
Lando's been there since 2019, so I think that's 5 years.
5 years.
That's crazy.
5 years ago. Come on.
That's just in context. Just that for me, just 2019 was 5 years ago. So
freaking crazy.
So you know what I'm saying? He's been there as long as Lewis. I mean, Nico was when Lewis got there. Yep. They didn't really do much that first year because the car wasn't that good.
Well, it took time to build up that consistency.
So this year, I'm saying if McLaren wins a world championship, I'm going by a repeated history. It might be Oscar to win it.
Hey,
it might be Oscar.
Personally, I would love to see that. I mean, Piastri's a good kid.
Yeah.
And, he has I think he has more passion than a lot of people do.
Right.
I mean, just to see from what, the talks with sources and the teams and just everything, surrounding McLaren's, strategies and whatnot.
Right.
I think Piastri, he has a lot of potential for dominance.
Right.
In the next 2 to 3 years.
Lando is what Lando is. This will just be the first year we've seen with a car.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing different with Lando this year is what your car is what you're gonna do with your car.
Yeah. And it can go one or two ways, good or bad.
Right. And moving up to second place, we're almost done here.
Yeah, baby.
Mercedes. I love the livery because I think I sent you the livery. Like
dude,
the concept.
Yeah, you did.
I said I thought it was just a concept, but the fact that it was actually it, bro, I was lit. I was like, bro, that's lit.
Yo, come on, dog. Dude, insane. I'm gonna say not as a just F1 fan generally, I fell in love with it as soon as you said it to me, I'm like, dude, oh my gosh, bro.
It was a fire livery.
Dude, freaking insane. And like nobody, it was a concept and they brought it to life. Nothing bad to say about it.
It wasn't a leak or anything. Like I'm liking the way the side pods look. I like the front wing. I mean, I'm liking the way the car looks with side pods.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, apart from the livery, this is 2 years behind.
Yeah.
That's the reality of this car. So I love the livery because it was just like, oh, like I sent it to you. It was like, oh, that's a cool livery. I wish they would do it. I thought we was getting black again, but the fact that they kind of did it like this, I like it. But I mean, like I can't really talk about the car because it's just like I said, we're gonna have to wait and see until whenever testing comes up to actually see what's on the cars. But at the end of the day, this Mercedes car is 2 years behind. Hopefully,
it's freaking sick.
Hopefully. But you gotta think they were competing for the last 2 years in the top three 2 and 3, respectfully. So maybe this year and this design gets them past Ferrari in a competitive way. I don't know. Everything they still have to figure out the car because they're 2 years behind.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm like I can't really say they'll pass them, but we'll have to wait and see with Mercedes.
Sometimes the livery change might not do it for them, or it might be the good luck charm.
So, right, exactly.
Who knows?
And moving up to our final team today, I like the way the music is going. It's telling me that we gotta wrap this up. I'm sorry, because I'm looking at it, it's like 29 minutes. Good lord.
Like, woohoo!
But obviously the livery is the same, but I think the talking point was A, they didn't show the floor. They put a blank floor on there. B, they had a lot of people covering the back diffuser of the car, so that's something to look at. The floor and the rear diffuser, or just the back of the car, basically.
And the zero pods that, sort of a Mercedes like past strategy.
Yeah, is that going to be what we see? Is that what it is, or would they come up with a more Red Bull-esque design on the side pods?
Yeah, and could that either come back to bite them or absolutely put them 10 steps ahead of the curve?
Yeah, so, we'll definitely have to wait to see that, because if this works, I'm not even gonna say it's Mercedes' fault, because it is Mercedes' fault because they built a bad car for 2 years. But the fact that Adrian Newey saw it and was like, "Oh, we could do something with that," and Mercedes not stick with it, that'll be the real, conversation right there. That'll be the real conversation. I wouldn't look at it as, "Oh, they couldn't do what Mercedes did." No, Mercedes did that out of necessity.
And we took that on because I think it's like, all right, not necessarily a copycat, but it could go good or bad.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like I said, that's why the floor was different. They said the rear diffuser was different, and also they had the front nose covered.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, okay, that's why we gotta just wait and see
with testing, baby.
Yeah, see what they bring out, because I'm really going to look at that floor when they pull it out.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's all you got.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I think, to wrap things up, again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. What are we going to talk about in the next episode? What's on the lineup? Got anything in mind?
Apart from some news that I can't really.
Yeah. It's a hashtag. If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. That'll be that'll be the next off the rip. Yeah, that'll be the next off the rip episode. But as far as what we know, we're going to talk about preseason testing. I have to check the dates. That's my fault, because I just did not look. But as far as I know, how are we going to do it? Are we doing after every day or after every session, or are we just going to wait until everything wraps up?
I mean, that it depends on with like the race times. I think we could shoot same day.
Okay.
Like Sunday afternoon, evening. But for the ones that are like 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., we could probably shoot the day after.
Yeah, the day, like later that day or the day after. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I was it's no rush. I didn't know if you just wanted to do a collective, like, hey guys, we're collective, or we just want to do every day, like, okay, he's like a day by day improvement and watching. I'm cool with either one, but I'm guessing you want to do every day.
If that's okay.
All right, man. I guess we'll see y'all every day after testing.
Word up.
I'm Carolina Craig.
And I'm Jonathan. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see y'all in the next episode of Through the Chicane podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Peace.